Yes, so hello everyone once again. And yes, for all those people who are joining in for the first time, a very happy new year to all of you and hope you all are doing great and safe at your end. So, yeah, I welcome you all to the day one of pre hackathon speaker sessions. I hope you all are as much excited as we are because the Python Week will be hosting live workshops, talks, discussions, and of course, an amazing virtual hackathon. And this everything starts from today, that is 1st of January, and this all will end on the 10th of January. So stay tuned for each and everything. Now, moving on to the speaker session for now, the topic is how to make a Django API. So we visit a lot of website each day to do some crazy things, isn't it? Now these apps are somehow running through APIs. APIs provide an interface for the communication between multiple software intermediaries, right? Now this session covers how we can create APIs using Django. And with that being said, let me introduce you all to our speaker for this session. That is, we have Gaurav Jain joining us. Hey Gaurav, how are you?
Hi Siddharth, how are you? Thanks for
Yep.
introducing me.
Yeah, thanks
It's
a
really
lot for
nice to meet you.
joining us. So,
It's really nice to meet
Gaurav
you.
is a backend and DevOps engineer, and he's also a software engineer at evalueserve.com. So, we welcome you, Gaurav, and look forward to your talk. So, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you, Siddharth. Uh, hi everyone, how are you? It's good to be here. So, you guys are having a hackathon. So, I thought that being able to make some APIs and making a fast backend would be quite useful to you guys. So, we'll get into it. So, can you guys see my screen?
Let me just share that once. Yep, they can now.
Okay. So my topic for today is going to be how to build a simple Django API, basically. So uh, first, Happy New Year, everyone. So I have been working with Python for about 4 years, uh, and this is some things about myself. So you guys can connect with me later. I'll have all the links and everything in the end of the slide, and I guess the host will share the slides with you all. Okay. So I am going to be talking about Django. The reason being Django is it's a Python framework. Basically, it's a Python backend framework. So what does that mean? It's a backend framework is there to work on servers. So how to manage and what all is supposed to be done in the server. If anyone tries to communicate with the server, the backend framework works with it. Responds to it basically. So Django is a really huge and a really simple framework, relatively, with which you can create really fast and a really robust API with relatively small amounts of clicks. What I mean by that is it takes a bit longer than a framework like Flask, but whatever you write, whatever the code is, it's going to be extendable. It's going to be flexible. It's going to be a clean code, and it will be really robust. So these are like just a few reasons why Django. Why I'm talking about Django here is it creates a automatic admin panel. That admin panel can be really useful. We'll look into that. Then it has a lot of features such as authentication and routing and templates, all of that inbuilt. Like you don't need to add anything, any library or anything any third party library in order to add these things. It has a lot of security inbuilt with per se. It has something called ORM, object relational mapper. We'll get into that also. Basically, if anyone's been is into cybersecurity or anything, or just was trying out things, you might know something about SQL and injection. Basically, what happens is the user puts some SQL code in your inputs, and if you are not taking care of that, the it can result into really massive failures, and it has in the past. So Django ORM prevents that from happening. So it just basically kind of does a lot of things for you without you knowing it. if you do things the Django way. Sorry. So uh, these are a couple of websites that use Django, and like I know at least four of these entirely run, like their main website and main things are on Django. Quora, Instagram, Pinterest, Reddit, all of them, they work majorly on Django. Google is everywhere. But these four are one of the major players in Django, and it just especially if you have some sort of ML model running in the background, it's easier for code. If you have a Python model and if you're working on Django, it just makes it easier for you to deploy it. So that's why a lot of the companies end up using Django. Okay, so what we will actually be doing is going to be an hands-on session. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this, how to do it step by step, how to make the API. So I expect you guys to have some of this knowledge. You can, go back in this video. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be recorded on YouTube, so you can go back and see things again and again. So basic Python knowledge. Oops is quite some. The ORM is going to be requiring that, the object relational mapper. Oops will help you understand it better. Idea of SQL, how SQL works, the SQL tables, etc., etc. On your laptop, have Python 3 and Git Bash. Or if you have a Linux machine, that's going to be Linux or Mac machine, that's going to be lovely as well. Because some of these things is just easier on Bash than command line. However, SQL is going to learn it. Okay, so we're going to be learning what is an API, why do we need it, how to write it in Django, and I'm going to try to get the testing done as well. So let's have some fun, shall we? Okay. This you might have, a lot of people might have heard this term API. So tell me, how many of you guys have actually heard this term API? How many of you have actually heard this term API? Okay, wait. Darshal wants, what is Django? Okay, so I'll just go back. So Django, it's a backend framework. It handles all of the backend in your website, in your server, whatever requests or whatever processing you're doing. So okay, uh, so this is the front end of your website, and this is the back end of your
Sorry
website.
to interrupt, Gaurav. You can
Yeah.
quickly share your screen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no worries.
Okay. Can you see it? Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. So you are asking what is Django? Django basically sits on this part of the internet. The webs It runs on the web servers. I'll show you exactly how it does, but it's basically in this particular section of it. What we will be building will be exposing the API for it. So what actually happens is, for example, you want a particular some sort of data on. So for example, you want to go to google.com. So you're gonna click google.com on your web page. That request is gonna go uh, to through the internet to the API. How that's gonna do, that's a different topic for another day. But you will get that request in your API. Once you get that request in your API, Django will be able to act on that request, do something, whatever you want Django to do, is going to be able to do that. It's going to interact with the database or whatever data you have, and then it's going to send a response to that web page. This is what Django does, and this is an API helps Django do it in a simpler format. So a lot of websites work with HTML and render the HTML again and again and send it to you. With an API, you only work with something called JSON. I'm going to show you what that is. So it's just raw data. Okay. So uh, in simple terms, the backend is like, I guess this is self-explanatory. So the caterers are the API. So that's what we're going to be building. Front end, we don't need to deal with. We're going to be building the back end and the API. Okay. So this is just a simple. We might come back to this, or I'll just show it at in Visual Studio. But this is how a Django project looks like. Might look a bit intimidating right now, but we'll slowly dive into it, and we'll understand what everything does, what every one of these files do. Okay. So let's get started, shall we? Um, okay. Till now, does anyone have any questions? I don't know that. Does anyone have any questions? So, Sanjay, yeah, everyone, like that word is really popular. We'll work to explain that to you in a simpler sense. Um, okay. So, I don't think so. Anyone has any questions? Okay. Okay. So, let's just get into coding then. So, I'm just gonna start a new project. Python. Get bash.
So, Gaurav, one of the question was there in the chat that can we use Sublime Text to code with you?
You can use any text editor. You can, if you are able to, you can also use Notepad. But it's every developer's preference. No issue. You can use whatever you want. Just preferably open, if you're using Sublime Text, open the whole folder. It's gonna be easier for you to navigate.
Awesome.
So I'll be actually making a virtual env. So if you can wait. Array, Anaconda. This is gonna be an issue. Let it be. I won't be using the virtual env because I installed Anaconda and messed. So what you need to do is you need to run this command. Um, is there a way to, Siddhant, is there a way that I can send this these commands to them?
Yes, you can send that to the private chat or directly onto the live chat from the StreamYard itself.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I'm sending it to the.
Okay, we'll send that for you.
Yeah, this is the command. If you are using Linux, you don't really need to add the Python 3M. Oh, um, this is going to be an issue. Um, Wait, I'll use my. Um, Wait a second. Sorry. Wait a second. My virtual AND is not working. I shouldn't have installed. Wait a second. It's not working. It's fine. Okay. So I'll be doing something that you should not do. That is not run in a virtual environment. I'm just having some issues. So the reason I want to run in a virtual environment is because if right now I have Django 3. Right now I have Django 3.1, right? So if you have another project that requires Django 2 or Django 2.9, something like that, So these versions won't conflict. So if you read up on virtual envs, but right now we're gonna work like this only. Uh, Python week. Okay. So so now what you need to do is once you've installed Django REST framework, you're gonna have this command Django admin start project. Uh, we're gonna call it simple API. So this command, so what this command will actually do is going to create a Django project. So the simple API folder is going to have another folder, simple API. These are the whole project level files. So one of the main files that you will be not using a lot, but you'll need to, whenever you're doing a project level change, is the settings file. So here you have debug equal true, and all the installed applications, all of these. This is going to be really important in a bit. So this now, once you have done this, let's just go inside a project. Um, in the project, now that you have a manage.py file, what we're going to do is Python manage.py start app. This time it's going to be start app. I just name my main app. Main app. Wait, just use Python. If you're ever getting this error, that means Django is not installed, and that's because wait. Um, Python reduce Python 3 start app. Yeah. Sorry, my machine is having some issues. So I was having some issues. Hopefully they won't happen again. So now I have an app. So what Django allows you to do is you can separate each of your functionality into an app. So you can have an authentication app, you can have a user management app, anything. It's on you. How you want to divide the apps is totally upon you, but it just makes it a bit simpler. So all the apps are uh, independent in their own manner. So I can basically what I can do if I've made an app in one project, I can just copy that app and paste it. Just copy that folder and paste it in another project and just add it to the project, and it's just going to work. So right now the app is not going to be visible to the project. It's because it's not in the installed apps. I've created that app, but it's not in the installed apps. So you just need to do this simple thing. You might not understand everything that I'm saying, and it's totally fine because this is just a 1 hour talk. So you won't be able to master Django in one day, no 1 hour. But you should just take some, understand what's going on as much as possible and try to learn more as you go forward. Okay, so I've added REST framework because actually what I installed Django REST framework here, but automatically installed Django itself. Right. So Django REST framework is a different project which you can learn about later. It's going to just make it simpler for us to make these APIs. So, okay. Now let's go dive into each of these files as much as required for us. So right now we're just going to be working on these two files, models and views. So what models does is it creates a link between Django, uh, Django ORM in the web server and the SQL database that we have. So you'll say, well, we've not done any configuration for SQL, because those who have not done Django before, Django by default creates a SQLite connection. SQLite is a simple file-based SQL server. So it's just once we're gonna run, we're gonna get a database file. If I'll do this. Right now I get enough. Okay, I did not. I missed a comma. Yep, I missed a comma. So you can see the migrations from REST framework have been added. Now you might be, what is migrations? In simple terms, it's an SQL thing. Don't worry about it right now. Just understand whenever you are doing any changes in your uh, SQL, like in the models.py file, you have to do these commands. Wait, let me just add all of them. By make migrations. Okay. So these commands are just going to add your changes into the database itself. So what I'm doing right now is creating a product table, because what the ORM does is it maps tables to classes and rows to objects. Uh, now it's going to be name equals models dot char field slash equals um, I'm giving it two char fields, like so my table is gonna have two char fields. So now right now, the if you look at the migrations, there is it's just an empty folder. But if I run this migrations, migrate. So now if I open the migration files, there's the migration. It creates model, product, ID. It automatically adds because every object is supposed to have an ID. So these are the kind of things Django handles on their own. So okay, so let's see what I have here. Okay, so let's just actually start showing you how this data saving actually works. Does anyone have any questions till now? But what are you doing? Know that I'm trending. So okay, Darshil has a question. That's what am I doing? We're making a Django API. Okay, so I'm just gonna start. Uh, this is an interactive shell with the with my project with my Django server. So right now, what I can do is from main app dot models import product. So if um, I make a new product, prod one. So we did this. Now, if I just, you can see that what I did was just get. So what this command did is create a product and save it in the database. Whereas after saving that, I can query the table using this command, uh, and this gives a query set of all the object products that we have saved. So it's basically this. Wait a second, this might help. I don't know how to show you the query. So uh, this this command that we ran got translated into this SQL query, and it was ran on the database. So hopefully these queries are going to be a bit more uh, illustrative for those who are familiar with SQL. No, I just made another one. Oh, sorry. Query. Product object. Oh, this is creating a product object. Okay, ignore this one. Um, let this be. So let's just continue. Okay. So what we'll be making is a CRUD API. So CRUD is acronym, quite commonly used. It's create, read, update, and delete. These are the four holy grails of any API. Because if you're able to do this, then your API is ready at the very least. You can say that you can do whatever you want with the API. It won't be secure, it won't be a lot, but it's quite basic. Especially for hackathons, like just making CRUD APIs is going to be good enough, depending on the task that you have at hand. So you have different types of methods in in APIs. So you most of you might be familiar with the get and a post method. So get is just gonna get whatever data there is. Post is gonna create data. Then we are gonna be working with two more. That's delete and there's put. So it's just a method type, and you can just use that, and the backend will automatically know what to do with that amount of data that you've given. Okay, so let's just uh, make these APIs, product API. Um, this was from this framework. Wait a second, let me just. Wait. I need to look at my old code. So this is something a lot of developers do, and it's fine to do. Look at your old code. I basically built the whole API here, but I want to show it to you guys. So these are just the libraries that I'll be using. Yeah. So let's just make the product API. So API view gives us the capability of doing this. Self request ID. So okay. So these are the four functions we will require. We will be requiring. So, but there is one important thing that we need to do before we are able to do this. I know this is a lot of things, but these are like the main advantage of Django in doing all of these things is your whenever you're working, it's just as soon as you're done with all these big tasks, it's a smooth sailing ride. You don't have to ever worry about what is done. It's more foundational work, but once you're able to do that, it's easier. So now we'll create something that is called a serializer. It's quite of a simple thing. It's as you can see, like if here you saw, and I did a clean because of course I cleared my display. um, so I'll just get the first one. So this is the product, this is the object, right? So objects can't really be transferred across the internet. So in order to, what we can actually transfer is something called JSON. uh, JSON is they are similar to those who know Python, and those who know JavaScript, they know what JSON is. But it's more of a dictionary. So it looks kind of like name, prod, one, um, product, type, uh, type one. So the output is going to have a similar look to it. So the thing is basically just uh, an object has its data and it has its methods, right? That's the whole point of having oops related using oops. But what serialization does is just just leaves all the methods uh, that are not required. If there is any required method, they also convert that into the format that's required. So all of that gets churned down to a simple JSON or a XML that can be uh, transferred over the internet. This is one of the main purposes of serialization. So it's basically a format conversion from one format to another. That is also serialization. So this is the definition of serialization. Um, so we'll make a product serializer. So from a product model, we can just get a uh, from a product model we can get a JSON. Um, what are the requirements? Yeah, model and field. Okay, so let's just create a simple get API. Before that, if you let's just do this first. Um, we have no security right now inbuilt with this. There is a lot more secure ways to do things, but right now I just want Especially in hackathons, you don't have to care about security nearly as much. But in real world, you should take care of security. Um, Hopefully, this should work. Okay, so one thing what we have to also take care of is the URLs. So how will Django know which class to work with for which URL? So I have that pre-built for us. So what you can ignore the second path right now, but we're working on the first path. I'll actually just comment this to avoid any. So this is the command that's going to be able to help you run it. And what happened? Product view set. Oh, what did I name this? I named it product API. Let's just fix this name. Okay. We have to go. I don't know what happened. Okay. So it opened at product 8001. So API product. So this is the output that you will be getting. If you want to see the raw output, you can also do a curl command. You can see the output. This is the JSON output that you will be getting. So what the whole purpose and the whole what's going to happen is the backend is going to set up such APIs that's going to return the data, and the front end will consume all of this data and all the changes, and you can use frameworks like React and Angular, or you can also use uh, raw HTML to just communicate uh, with the backend. So what this is going to do is the front end can just send all the code once, and then it's just going to be a fast just API communication that's just going to be sending such tiny strings. So this we did that user can get all the data, but now what if the user just wants one product? So I'm also going to take an ID. What happened? Yeah, I'm also going to take an ID in this. By default, I'm going to use it as none. If ID is none, then return this. Else, now here I'm going to show you what can happen. Let's just return. Now I'm querying that to get me just this one data, but um, let's just do it. Let the error show. So we have ID 1, 2, and 3, right? So let's just see. It's just earlier, if you notice, earlier I was getting an array, right? Earlier I was getting a whole array. Now I'm just getting one object. So I can just, start working with that one particular object. Now, but we only have IDs 1, 2, 3, 4. What if I give something ID 5? What do you think should happen? Because so this is Django just panicking because the command I did here, get, it expects that the user, the output of this query is going to be one and only one object, one output, right? So what we're supposed to be doing here actually, products. So as a backend developer, you should also assume that the front end can give data that looks fine on paper. Like 5 is a valid input, but it might still mess up in the code. So you should be wary of that. So if there is any product, then you return this protected first. Else you should not have such dirty looking outputs. Like, it's not dirty, it's more of a developer specific, but it's not what user should be getting, right? So what you're supposed to be doing, you should give clean and good error codes. So you'll be like, be sweet to the backend, don't be, to the front end. uh, this product does not exist. So there's one thing I'll actually here. I'll show you how to be a bit, sweet and nice to your front end developer, because, like, come on, he helps you a lot. He or she helps you a lot. So if you can see, like, here, right here, it's showing HTTP 200. Okay. I don't think so. This is okay, right? Because this is not, like, you're not able to find the data. This is not okay. Like, front end should know that what they're doing is incorrect. So here you give something called a status code. Status dot HTTP. Wait, you might need to copy paste these. Like, if you can remember them, cool. My autocomplete is not working right now, so I'll be using this. Now, it's showing. See, it shows HTTP 404 not found, as everyone's used to. So there are these universal status codes that are available around the globe, and they are standardized. So these are just some of the important status codes that all of you should be a bit, at least be familiar with these. So if you're ever working, in the back end, so you should know what to return to your front end, and if you're working on the front end, you should know what the back end really means. So I have worked in professional projects in which backend lead would not be able to do these responses properly, and that I left an organization really fast. But that kind of things happens, so you should be fine with this. But if you don't want to remember so many codes, you can just in general have in shorthand of these. So if you have a status code that is 200 something, that means everything is fine. No one's to blame. Everything is going according to plan. If there is 400 something, that means your front end dude has messed up something. Like, you can see bad requests, so that means the format is incorrect. Unauthorized, so the code and the things that the front end said were incorrect. Like, they were not allowing correct authorization. 404 not found. 405 method not allowed. So in a lot of endpoints, you will only allow a get request, or only allow a post request, not everything. So right now I'm allowing everything, so I won't get 405. But I will add some 405s. So I'll show you that as well. So let's go with let's continue. Okay. So as you can see, I've added ID, this ID. So this is a Django shorthand. What it does is, if there's something, if there's an integer after that, then it's gonna route to this. So I know I am routing to two URLs to the same one. So that's why I'm also handling this. So if the ID is not present, it's gonna by default take none, and then the code is gonna manage. And if the ID is there, then it's gonna take the ID and work with it. So button post. On post, we are not really ever dealing with one item ever. We're always dealing with creation of item. So it should only work with slash product. There are other ways to handle this, you know, but I'm going to do it in this particular manner. Uh, if it's not null, so yeah, one more thing. So this response basically takes your JSON, adds the status codes, and just gives it a clean look. So the response function the main purpose is that if you want, I can do one thing. This would be actually quite helpful for you guys to see what the serializer actually does. I'm sorry, I skipped that. So I'll from main app models import views star. Uh, sorry, views um, import product serializer. What happened? Oh, this file is actually erroneous right now. What happened? Line 29. Okay, let's just okay. So we added this line in the response function, right? Let's just give you a cleaner view of what's happening. Hopefully, this is more understandable to you all. uh, Easier understandable. So we have this query. We're taking that data. We're saying that there's going to be many items in that query. We're serializing that data, and that data is then being transferred to the response object, and the response object is sending it further. So you should know what's going inside the response object. So if I just paste this, it returns this ordered date, right? You can also give an ordered date, but this is basically a dictionary. Um, Not really sure. I'm not. I should. This should work actually. Hopefully. No, it won't work. But this, gives it that ID equals one, name equals product type equals product type one, and it just, allows it to just sends it to this data is then sent to the response, and the response then handles all of it. Okay. Uh, Get back to post. Okay, so what we were doing in post is, if the person has given an, okay, we're a bit short on time, so I'll try to speed things up now. So in post, if the person has given an ID that is incorrect, so that person is actually working on the URL that the get, update, and delete is supposed to work on. So let's just send them a message. Method not allowed. Uh, with the, we don't need this, status equals status dot http 405 method not found. No, it's method not allowed. I guess I've done correctly. Yeah, yeah, method not allowed. Okay. Mm, let's just restart the server. I have done. Oh, okay. I have a typo. Sorry. Yeah, this should work. Mm. Now, you might know that you can't really. You can only do a GET request using the browser, but yeah, you can only do GET request. Django does help you to do delete request, but that's pretty much it. You you can do post requests using this, but this what Django provides. But what I would recommend is for you guys to have something like Postman installed. Postman is, it just lets you do whatever kind of request you want. So it's a post request on this API. What's gonna happen? It's a I've given an int. Okay, the code just code died. Where the code died? Oh, okay. The code died because of another, not my issue. Yeah. So method not allowed. 405 method not allowed. Okay. So these kind of responses will let the front end off your back, and the front end can just do whatever they want. So because we're a bit short on time, I'm just gonna copy paste each of these uh, mm, points and just gonna keep explaining them because I guess we don't have your. It's gonna be faster. Okay, so now you can. So the difference between GET request and POST request, if whoever knows, is that in a GET request, all the data is in the URL. So, like, anyone can read the data, whatever you've given. So, example, in this GET request, if I just, some data, you can see the data is visible in the URL, but post request is not, and all of the data in the post is encrypted. So if I just go in the body, I have pre-filled it. So I just need to give the name and the product type, and this is going to be going on this URL. So see, uh, okay. So earlier we had 1, 2, 3, and 4, which we created using the command line. But if I refresh this page, you can see the fifth product is also there. So then this allows the front end to create whatever data they want. Uh, I'm going to be rushing a bit. I'm really sorry. Okay, this is going to be a big one. This is put. Put is something that's used to update the data. So in updation, it's similar to post that you get the uh, data, but here you directly creating the data. Here you also give the ID, right? You you give the ID of what data you want, because if you don't give an ID, it's gonna give incorrect method. So it's just going to update the data in that particular ID. So if you have some sort of, you know, security parameters, you're going to basically, after this product exists, like even before actually, before you as soon as you have this ID, you see if the user it has the ability to update anything here. Once they come, can user update? Okay, you're gonna ask that question, and if they can they update this? They update this item. You do these checks, so this is gonna increase your security. Now, I so let's just focus on the product one. Name product is defined. There's some error in my code. Response product first. Um, line 28. Oh, sorry about that. So here you can see it's product one, type one. So we're gonna go on Postman. We're gonna go on our put request. We're gonna update the first one and change that to a type two. So you send that request, and here it's going to respond with the item itself. But so here you can see the change. So it's changed to type 2. So this is a simple thing that you might require a lot. These are like simple methods that are required for any API to be built. And then it's the final one of all, deletion. So you cannot delete, all the products like that. I didn't want anyone to be able to delete all the products. You can. Then you get that particular item out. If that item exists, you get it. Then you delete it. Or if the item does not exist, you give a 404, and you say that the product not, like, I'm just giving a more descriptive message that the either the product not found or it's already been deleted, because it could be that the front end is giving multiple requests for the same thing. So let's just delete our fifth uh, product, because why not? Or let's just delete in the middle. Let's delete the third one, or the fourth one. Fourth product. We have a. I'll just set this up to show you guys it exists. The fourth one exists right now. What happened? Is my code wrong? Got unexpected ID. Oh, I didn't give ID equals. See, this is the kind of things that you get when you are if you try to do things fast. So it doesn't have an ID anymore because it has been deleted. This is the product and this is the type. This was the fourth product, so there should not be any product with the ID 4. So it's gone. Right. So, hmm, so it's already 6 o'clock. So I don't think so. I'll be covering testing. So if you guys, hopefully you guys understood this and fast paced in the end session. Uh, if you guys have any questions for me, I would be happy to answer you guys.
Yep, we do have questions. So let's take them up one by one. All right. So first of all, we have one question from Rahul. He's asking whether, like, by default product serializer gives JSON. He's asking whether that's possible.
Mm, yes, you can. I am not 100% sure that the model serializer that I used can or cannot, but I can say about like 80% that 80-90% that XML can be uh, done using just the model serializer that Django REST framework comes with. You can go in the Django REST framework documentation. They're gonna have it because XML is a really open source format in its own sense.
Yeah. Also, we have one more question from Marmik. He's asking, is this JSON raw or binary or form data, the one which you used?
So that what I was using was raw JSON. You
Okay.
can also use form data and like binary as well. Binary, I have never personally used. For form data, it's just that depending on how it is, you might require to. I used here request.data. You might require
Mhm.
request.post variable where your data is going to be, but it's not going to change much in the way you deal things.
All right. Also, one more question from Marmik. He's asking whether we can use Django API for Django web app.
Yeah, you can.
Yep.
You can do that.
So here is one more. Could I go through CS50 Django course to get good in that?
Okay, so CS50, I have not done the CS50 Django course myself, but I did the CS50 basics one and it was quite helpful. Like I did it in like first, second year. CS50 is a really nice resource in its own. Like it's really good. So you could do that. And you can also go through the Django documentation because the tutorial in the Django documentation is, in my opinion, one of the best tutorials out there. So yeah.
Yep. Also, like, what is the maximum space of a database provided by Django?
Uh, As far as I know, Django doesn't like it's not a Django restriction that the database face. It's the database itself. So if you have a MySQL, so you can add MySQL restrictions, like how much space can MySQL take in its own way and in its own server, and then you will have a user that is going to be accessing through like you're going to have a username password through which Django is going to be accessing MySQL. So how much data that user is able to add, you can add those restrictions.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, here is one more question. Can we understand low level coding from high level of Python?
Uh, So yeah, you can like you can understand what's going on. Like you don't really need
Hmm.
to know the code itself. You can you understand okay this particular set of code like 80 85 I've done for college. So I can understand this is a for loop. This is how it's done. It might be a bit more challenging, but Python
Hmm.
or any high level language you can understand low level.
Yep, that's correct. Also, like, can we create that project by ourselves or instead of using a auto-generated code?
You could, but I would not recommend it because I'll just show something. So when you create that project, right? There's a lot of things that Django itself creates for you, such as for security purposes. So right now we did not use security in its own way. Like we didn't use security at all. But when you have uh, Django, you look at this. So here we have a secret key. This is one of the really important things. So Django creates such things for the Django authentication. So you have you have a security firmware, CSRF middleware. All of them, they prevent a lot of attacks that you and I might not able to think of. ठीक है, right now I've had an experience with back in long enough that I can think of them, but I would always recommend frame Django to a junior or to someone who's just started developing, because it does a lot of things for you that you don't make those mistakes yourself. Like with Flask lets you fall. I saw Anubhav's talking. He also said like Flask allows you to do whatever you want. Django just restricts you from falling over yourself. So I would not recommend it. You can.
Yeah, absolutely, that's correct. Also, like, many of the people watching us might have this question if they are beginner, that where can they start from or what is the best resource online, which with which they can like directly kickstart their journey with Django. So other than like Django docs, do you have any other preferred resources which you would
Uh,
like to share?
I myself personally use Django Girls. So Django
Okay.
Girls have a similar tutorial to Django documentation, but it just felt less intimidating when I started off. With Django REST framework, if you have to like what we are using is Django REST framework specifically in the sense. So that might I would recommend some go to YouTube and stuff because the Django REST framework documentation on the first go feels really intimidating. Later
Yeah.
on it becomes nice.
All right. Also, we have one more question. It is asking that can we use Django for authentication?
Yes, Django in its own has a whole authentication framework inbuilt. So username, logging in and everything. You don't need to worry how the password is saved. No password is saved is in raw text. Just don't, like, Django has given you a lot of resources. Don't try to reinvent the wheel itself. Django will do
Yeah.
things for you. Let Django do things. Like the person was saying that, can I do it? Can I make the whole project? You can, but let's not. These people have already put a lot of effort, a lot of hours of work, so we can just easily just use commands and go with it.
Yeah, that's really true. Also, like Hate is asking that in the case like Python has slow compilation time, so does that affects Django?
Okay, so that compilation time is there, I know. And when I started back in myself, I was a bit like, that can be a problem. But there has been a couple of studies and I've read those research papers. Basically, the time required for your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, because at the end of the day, front end is doing that anyways. That and the compilation time of Django. The HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the media basically transfer time is way longer than any compilation time of Django can ever take. So, and obviously then you have caching and everything. So it's just, the speed, that factor just goes out. And obviously if you have really, really, you need like really, really fast servers, then you are in a different ball game. But for any normal backend developer, you don't have to worry about this ever.
Yeah. Also, like people want to know your opinion, that your personal opinion, that is it like compulsory to wear gloves while using Django? They are like fond of your style now.
Yes, in winters, yes, it is.
It should be,
It's
yeah.
really cold, man. It's really cold in Delhi.
Yeah. And also people wants to know that what will you choose? Will you choose Flask or Django?
I love both of them. In most of my hackathons, I've used Flask myself, and the reason being is in my hackathons, I've had such a team that I didn't have to make a really huge backend. It was really tiny backend that would just handle chatting and handle some communication between things. So it did not require authentication or anything. So I chose
Hmm.
Flask myself. But I recently, with one of my friends, built a platform for SIH Overdrive. So in that, I chose Django because in that I required a lot of resources. So it just depends on how many. If you're a one man team and you have to build a real life project, I would always use
Hmm.
Django. And again, if you're a one man team with a big backend, again Django. But if it's a one man team or a really long team or a one man team with a small project, relatively small service, then it's always preferred to use Flask.
Absolutely. Also, like there are few questions which says that how long does it takes to learn Django? You can tell like on an average time or what time you took to just get to know more about Django. How was it?
Yeah, I'll say I'm still learning, but that is a
Hmm.
quite cliche answer. If you want to
Yeah.
be efficient enough, confident enough, I would say not. I have known one person who did it in about a week, but obviously that week he was, working just on Django. It takes some time to get comfortable with, there's Django, then there's REST framework, then there's another library. But you should be confident in like a maximum if you're, also handling college a month, in my opinion.
Hmm. Great. So I can't see more questions in the chats, but guys, we are still live. If you have any type of questions, feel free to add those questions into the live chat and we'll be answering them. So meanwhile, I'll be asking one question to you, Gaurav, from my side it is. So as you know, we are coming up with the virtual hackathon, this weekend. And there are like variety of hackers, like right from the beginners, intermediate and experienced as well. So do you have any suggestions for them according to your experience that would you like you would like to give to them, so that they can excel in throughout the time of a hackathon? So are there any?
Okay. So, at such the length of the hackathon that we have,
Hmm.
in any hackathon, frankly speaking, your idea matters more. How brilliant your idea is, and you just need to give a proof of concept that this idea can be done. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be 100% efficiency or any. it doesn't have to go through a whole rigorous process of validation and real life implementation. It just needs to work for one presentation, kind of, to be frank with you, right?
Hmm.
It just needs to be proof that yeah, this kind of things can work. It just doesn't. So that is one of my biggest advice for anyone going to hackathons, because most of the time when I went to hackathons, I focused on the implementation and will it be feasible real world? Let's make an efficient database, and that did not help.
Yeah.
Later on, I went with a couple of people in hackathons who taught me this myself, and
Hmm.
that just helped a lot. So it just shows that you should put effort in a code, but only if that code is going to work.
All right, definitely. So that was a like great piece of advice, and really it matters about how your idea is and how you're working around the same. So definitely thanks for that. And yes, it was indeed a great session of yours, and we enjoyed our time spending with you today. And thanks a lot for joining us and providing us with your precious time.
Sure. Sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right. So yes, it was indeed a great session today, guys. And yes, the feedback form will be shared for this session in particular in the live chat. So do not forget to just check that. I'll just share that once so that you do not miss that. Just give me a minute. And also for those people, like people who are asking about uh, the previous feedback form, so it has already been shared like previously, so it won't be reopened again. So I'm afraid about the same. But yes, the session right now which we had with Gaurav, we do have the feedback link. It's like shared in the chat, so do fill that up. And yes, stay tuned for upcoming sessions. We are done for the day one. So let me just quickly share what are the upcoming talks for tomorrow. And the feedback link has already been shared. You can just fill that up once, and then you're good to go, and you'll get the participation certificate as well. Now, talking about tomorrow, we do have the session on Python application and usage in industry. It's by Kazi, so do not forget to tune in to this, to our YouTube channel at 3 p.m. sharp tomorrow. Next up, we'll be having another session by Bhargav. The topic will be like NumPy, Pandas, and Matplot libraries, and there will be a lot to gain. So do not miss both the sessions. All the links will be updated in the Discord itself. So make sure you join that Discord and have an attention on the announcement channel. Other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Discord itself. We have Ask Organizer channel, so we'll be having our eye on that. And yes, thanks a lot everyone for joining in today. If in case you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And don't forget to subscribe the channel so that you can get the updates of all the upcoming sessions, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever we are. And hope you enjoyed today's sessions, and make sure you checked out the recording later. And good luck. Take care. Bye bye. See you then.